Charlie?
Can we get an update on the development on Rio Grande? Any new stores opening, any businesses?
The question is a development on the update on the development of Glade Parks. And so, Mr. Collins?
We've got a detailed presentation prepared. Do we want to get into that now?
I think now would be a good time.
Address a couple questions?
You're ready, I think we're ready.
Mr. Parker? The location of the development, for those that may not have heard that, would be on the west side of 121 between Cheek-Sparger and Glade Road. You might typically associate that area with the Super Target that's on the north end. South of that development is what we refer to as Glade Parks, which is 200 acres of a mixed-use development that we'll describe for you when we get some overhead. It's not overhead. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking in this direction. See.
Nobody was going to tell you.
Maybe have to drive. If I can direct you to the very top middle screen, you can see that there is a label that's identified as K. Hoffnanian. That's the single-family development that is currently under construction that you would primarily access from the Heritage Road side, which is the road that goes north-south on the west side of the Glade Parks development. To the right of that, or to the north, is urban loft product that has been completed about a year and a half, something like that. There's over 400 units there that are being leased at a rate of about $1.55 a square foot. And we understand from talking with the manager there that it's about 98% full at this point in time. As we move east towards the 121 service road, that's where we get into the meat and potatoes of the commercial development, which is about 100 acres of the entire development. Within that development, if you were to drive out there today, you can see that Dave & Buster's is under construction. You can see the concrete tilt wall panels that have been erected. If you go farther to the north, you can see what we refer to as the inline retail development that's under construction. You can already see a sign out there for Dick's Sporting Goods. Within that inline retail portion, that will include, I just mentioned Dick's Sporting Goods, that will include Five Below, Ulta, Michael's, Home Goods, Boot Barn, and Kirkland's. So that's going to be within that inline as you go adjacent to that Dick's as you go to the north. If we move out towards the service road where Rosa's Cafe and Raising Cane is located, there are several individual buildings that are under construction and several that we've got currently under plan review. But to give you an idea of some of the spots, will include Five Guys Burgers, Potbelly, Panera Bread, and Pie Five. And then some additional retailers that include Sleep Experts, AT&T, Verizon, Supercuts, Monarch Dental, Legacy Nails, and Spa are among the businesses that are currently under lease. That will be about, in the inline, there'll be about 300,000 square foot of retail. And then on that out parcel, there could be another 100,000 square foot of retail through those out parcel buildings. And I believe at this point, if it's all right, we've actually got a flyover video that the developer and the commercial realtor have put together that'll give you some nice perspective on the construction of the roadways and the development that's going to occur out there. There are a series of 3 primary entryways off of the service road, and what you're looking at here was the first entrance off of the service road as you're going south from Glade Road. We had showed you the urban lofts there at the top of the screen. The location that you're looking at right now will be that inline retail that I was referencing, that Dick's Sporting Goods, rather, that was the foundation for that right there. And as you move to the north there, that's where the other inline retailers that will include the Five Below, Ulta, and Michaels will be located. And then you can see at the top middle portion, that's where the Super Target is located. As comparison, when we throw around the numbers, the Shops at Vineyard Village, which is across the street with the Lowe's, that's about 410,000 square feet of total retail commercial there. This is the second entry off of the service road. That's going to be Chisholm Trail. That will be really the primary ingress-egress into the development, and that'll take you right into what's going to be referred to as a lifestyle retail area that on the top end will be anchored by a movie theater, and there'll be other retail and restaurants between the movie theater and the service road. We are looking due west now towards the K. Hoffnanian subdivision. Where you see the circle, that is a park area that was developed at the expense of the developer that's associated with that subdivision. It will really kind of serve as a buffer between the residential to the west and the commercial activity to the east. We're looking now on Rio Grande from Cheek-Sparger looking north. The street that's just now intersecting it will be Brazos Boulevard. This is actually a couple of weeks old, and there's been a lot of work that's been completed on Brazos. And we're now upon where the Dave & Buster's is under construction. You can see there, that would have been when the parking lot pavement had been poured. Which brings us to Glade Parks. Currently, if you were to go out there today, they are almost finished with the framing and the exterior portion of the building before they'll begin to apply the masonry exterior. They are scheduled to open, I believe, April the 27th or 29th. The target date's the end of April. And Dick's Sporting Goods, again, is that southern portion of that inline retail currently under construction. And if you look farther to the north today, they've got tilt wall. I'm not sure how far to the north they got, but it's going up in a hurry. I had shown you earlier, if you remember, when we were looking north on Rio Grande, the Brazos Boulevard that connected. This is as it extends to the north. And this area will basically be separating what we believe to be the movie theater to the left of this picture, and then to the right you will continue retail and restaurants that will continue to extend out to the service road area. We do not have a graphic with this, but we wanted to point out that if you were to look at the agenda that the City Council is being asked to consider next Tuesday, there will be a development that's referenced very cleverly as Glade Parks South. And if you see where the label is for the gas well pad site, that's within a wetlands area. If you go to the south of that wetlands area, clear down to Cheek-Sparger, and then to the west to Heritage, and then to the east to Rio Grande Boulevard, all of that vacant undeveloped acreage would be proposed for a future development that would really be comprised of three different developments. One portion of that development would be some additional urban lofts that would front onto Heritage Road in an area that really doesn't have any visibility or frontage to either Cheek-Sparger or to Rio Grande, and perhaps is not viable for commercial development. But the remainder of that 60 acres, which will be some, let's say 30, 35 acres, would be zoned for a commercial development. A portion of that commercial development would be exactly like that development that we were describing on the 121 service road that would include retailers and restaurants, etc. But the majority of that acreage would be designated for big box retail for an end user that would occupy 25,000 square foot or greater. So the potential for Glade Parks South would be perhaps to introduce 120 to 150,000 square foot of additional commercial retail to what is already going to be built as part of the Glade Parks development that we've been describing and that we just showed you the video. Is that our last slide, Mr. Parker? We're being told between 10 and 12 screens. We're not sure. The type of theater that's being described is, what is it, a movie tavern type where you can go in and be served a meal and eat while you're watching the movie.
Keith, just a second, because I've got to point this out. Assistant City Manager Chris Barker is the one that was doodling and stuff on the deal. His kindergarten teacher said he would never be able to cut a straight line. I understand why she told him that. And the other thing that was exciting, if you didn't notice this week, and you can tell that, you know, I'm a connoisseur of food, that they named the top 10 sandwich places in the United States. Pandera bread. Pandera bread, is that how you say it? Number 1. Number 3, Potbelly. So, right there you get number 1 and number 3. Subway, I think, was number 6 or 7. Keith, you had a question?
Yeah, the area west of all this development, is that not in Euless, is that correct?
That is correct. That's in Colleyville,
Okay, I see there's
between Cheek-Sparger and Glade Road, and then of course when you get to the south side of Cheek-Sparger Road, which where the Walmart is,
Right.
that's within Bedford.
I've just seen a lot of development going on there. I didn't really.
Yeah, there's a proposed residential development called Creekside that is under development there on the west side.
We just showed it to you, but our drone ran out of electricity. Darryl, you had a question?
Well, just one on this. I got several more after it, but the $6 million the city has just borrowed or is borrowing, could you explain that? Because I believe we reimbursed the contractors or developers for some of the roads and infrastructure in that development. And many people probably don't follow it that close to understand it. And it'll show up on our debt page before long if it's not already there.
I'll be happy to explain that. When this developer came in for this development, the city worked with the other taxing jurisdictions and created a tax increment reinvestment zone. And that purpose of that was to help pay for all of the infrastructure, the roads, the water, sewer, and the infrastructure that's needed for the development. And in essence, what that did was it committed a portion of the revenue that is generated from this development to pay for that infrastructure. So the way the city structured that was in phases, and as the developer has completed some of those phases of that infrastructure, they have been entitled to reimbursement for that infrastructure, and the city has issued the debt to pay for those roads, and it is being paid for by the proceeds from the development. Yes. Is that a question on that?
No.
Okay. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I just wanted people to know that it shows up on our debt page before long and how it's being paid for and not out of our tax money.
Right, it's coming from the proceeds of the development.
Charlie, John, I think Charlie was first, then I'll get to you. Yes?
Yeah, do you have any estimates on the net revenue to the city for the sales tax and then maybe an estimate on the amount of employment I think the city was going to generate more income for the city?
The estimates on returns did have overall benefit to all of the taxing jurisdictions. Because I'm not able to pull that off the top of my head right now, but it is many, many millions to all of the taxing jurisdictions. I think in the ultimate build out, it's, Janina, I think it's in excess of $100 million for all of the taxing jurisdictions over the expected life of the TERS, which is a 30-year TERS. But to give you that exact number for the upcoming year, I can't pull it off the top of my head, but I certainly can get that.
there's several hundred jobs there, a lot of part-time, it's not big.
Charlie's the police chief for the DFW airport. You're not looking for a job, Charlie, you just answered the question. You're kind of new,
You got any
you're kind of
complaints
new
about
as
the
the police
airport, don't you,
chief.
Charlie?
You're kind of new as the